We know the names etched in stone and cast in bronze: Washington, Jefferson, Adams, Franklin. They are the architects of a nation, the faces of a revolution. But a revolution is not fought in assembly halls alone. It is fought in the shadows, financed in secret, and won by the courage of those whose names are rarely spoken. These are the forgotten patriots, the spies, the soldiers, and the financiers who risked everything for a future they might never see. Their stories have been lost to the footnotes of history. Join me as we uncover the untold stories of the American Revolution and meet the hidden figures who truly forged a nation from colonies to independence. While George Washington's army struggled on the battlefield, he knew that intelligence was a weapon as powerful as any cannon. After the disastrous loss of New York City, he tasked a young cavalry officer with creating a spy network to operate right under the nose of the British. This was the birth of the Culper Ring, America's first clandestine intelligence service. Masterminded by Talmadge, it was a chain of ordinary citizens, farmers, tavern keepers, and merchants, risking their lives in British-occupied New York. Their methods were ingenious, a blend of cutting-edge tradecraft and simple deception. They used code names, invisible ink that could only be revealed by a chemical reagent, and a complex system of dead drops. One of their most brilliant innovations was a signal line operated by a female agent, Anna Smith Strong. She used the laundry on her clothesline as a secret code, the number of handkerchiefs indicating that a message was ready to be picked up. But at the heart of the ring was a mysterious and vital figure, known to Washington only by a number from their codebook, Agent 355. Believed to be a woman moving in the highest circles of British Loyalist society, Agent 355 had access to invaluable information. She could report on British troop movements, naval preparations, and internal politics. Her intelligence was critical in one of the most infamous episodes of the war, the treason of Benedict Arnold. It was likely Agent 355 who first uncovered details of Arnold's plot to surrender the fortress of West Point to the British, a betrayal that could have ended the war. While Arnold escaped, Agent 355's fate remains one of the Revolution's greatest mysteries. It is believed she was eventually captured and died aboard a British prison ship, taking her identity to her grave. She was a ghost, a number, a patriot who gave everything and whose name we will never know. The Continental Army is often pictured as a force of white male farmers, but the reality was far more complex. The fight for liberty drew patriots from every walk of life, including those who had to fight for their own freedom long after the war was won. Consider the story of Deborah Sampson, a young woman from Massachusetts. She was filled with a desire to serve, so she bound her chest, cut her hair, and enlisted in the 4th Massachusetts Regiment under the name of Robert Shirtliff. For over a year, she fought with distinction, enduring the rigors of military life and being wounded twice in combat. She even removed one of the musket balls from her own thigh with a penknife to avoid discovery by a surgeon. Her secret was only revealed when she fell ill with a fever and was taken unconscious to a hospital. She was given an honorable discharge by George Washington himself, a testament to her courage. While some fought for liberty in disguise, others fought for it openly, against unimaginable prejudice. By 1778, with the Army desperate for men, Rhode Island took a radical step. It formed the 1st Rhode Island Regiment, a unit comprised almost entirely of enslaved African Americans and Native Americans who were promised their freedom in exchange for service. This was the first black battalion in American military history. They were commanded by white officers, but fought as a cohesive, disciplined unit. At the Battle of Rhode Island, they held a critical defensive line against repeated assaults by highly trained Hessian mercenaries, saving the American army from being outflanked. Their bravery was praised, but their story was quickly marginalized. These men fought a dual war, one against the British for the nation's freedom, and another against the prejudice of the very nation they were helping to create. Wars are not won by soldiers alone. They are won with money. Money for guns, for food, for uniforms, for pay. And in this, the American Revolution was perpetually on the brink of bankruptcy. Into this financial crisis stepped a man whose contribution was as vital as any battlefield victory, yet whose name is almost unknown today. Haym Salomon. Salomon was a brilliant broker and financier in Philadelphia. A passionate patriot, he became the lead broker for the Office of Finance, the fledgling nation's Treasury Department. His job was to take the war loans and aid from France and Holland, and through complex financial transactions, convert them into the hard cash needed to pay and supply the Continental Army. It was a task of immense complexity and critical importance. But Salomon went further. On multiple occasions, when the treasury was empty and the cause seemed lost, he advanced huge sums of his own money to the government, interest-free. He personally financed the delegates to the Continental Congress, including James Madison. His most crucial intervention came just before the final campaign at Yorktown. When the treasury was bare, Salomon raised the $20,000 needed to personally finance the Army's march from the Hudson Highlands to Virginia. Without this money, the Army could not have moved, and the war-winning victory might never have happened. He died penniless just a few years after the war, having never been repaid for his loans. Haym Salomon was the unseen engine of the revolution, a patriot who wielded his financial genius as a weapon in the fight for freedom. These hidden efforts in espionage, on the battlefield, and in finance were essential. But to win, the Continental Army also needed to transform itself. That transformation happened in the frozen crucible of Valley Forge, under the guidance of another unsung foreigner, Baron von Steuben. The victory at Yorktown was not just Washington's victory. It was the culmination of every one of these untold stories. It was won because the Culper Ring provided the intelligence that crippled British operations. It was won because soldiers like Deborah Sampson and the men of the 1st Rhode Island Regiment were willing to fight for a freedom they themselves did not fully possess. It was won because Haym Salomon raised the funds that moved the army to the battlefield. And it was won because men like von Steuben had turned a militia into a professional force capable of standing against the world's best. The story of the American Revolution is not just a story of bewigged men signing documents. It is a mosaic made up of thousands of pieces, thousands of forgotten names and untold stories of courage, sacrifice, and an unwavering belief in a new kind of nation. They are the true, hidden architects of America, and their legacy reminds us that history is made not only by the powerful, but by the quiet, the determined, and the brave, whose actions echo long after their names are forgotten. Whose untold story from history do you think deserves to be told? Share it in the comments below. And for more deep dives into the hidden figures of the past, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.